What all features have you used in your current project?
So Java, it basically I have used the functional interface, Lambda expression, and method reference as well, and script and optional classes. This is five things that we have currently I'm using in my project.
Okay. So can you tell me in which scenario you have used optional class?
Sir, optional class is basically to handle the null pointer exception actually. That is the final class and defined in Java.util package basically. So here we have a method nullable op. It will return the empty object if it's not exist, otherwise it will return the object. And we have a is present method is there to check.
Oh, your voice is breaking. Hello?
My voice.
Yeah.
Just a second. I put my fan off so that
Yeah, sure.
I think
Okay.
that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, sir, basically, that is basically for handling the null pointer exception actually. So we have a different method in a optional class actually, and like nullable off is there to give the empty objects if it's not exist. Otherwise, it will give the object. Is present is there to check whether that values exist or not. If it exists, then we have a get method to get the value actually. So suppose we are using the JPA repository when we are using the find by ID. Based on that ID, maybe we get the object or that object is not there. So it will return the optional actually. So we'll check whether that employee is present or not. If it's present, then we'll get through the get method. So in a project, I have used like this. In a JPA repository,
So
basically, I have used
what issue it is resolving actually? See, if it is ultimately we are having the null check. We are if we are using the optional class, then we are making get call. If the object is present, if we'll be making the is present call. If the object is present, then we'll make a get call, right?
Yes, sir.
So instead of the directly, I can see that, right, whether the returned object is null or not.
Yes, sir. We can write like this way. If it's not null, then we will means if in if condition we can put if it's not null, then we will get the value. But basically, so sometimes it's happened that like we are not able to handle it like in a runtime we are getting the null pointer exception. So basically, when we are using this, that is an optional actually. Whether you will get the value or whether you will not get the value. If you will not get the value, it will handle it, and if you get the value, you can iterate using the present or the get method.
So in collections, on what all collection classes have you worked on?
So basically, I worked on an array list actually, and a linked list and a map based on the Chhattisgarh state as a key. I'm getting all the RTO. So map also I have used array list, linked list, and map.
So in which scenarios we'll use array list, and in which scenario you will use linked list?
Still, basically, the array list uses the dynamic array, and linked list uses the doubly linked list. So, if array list mainly used for does not effective for the data manipulation, but linked list is effective for the data manipulation. So, basically, if you want to store and fetch the data, then the array list is good because we have an index actually. Based on that, we can search and get the value. But linked list does not have that facility. If you want to search, then we have to traverse the whole list actually. Maybe we will not get the value. So, and like linked list uses less memory overhead because it is stored only objects, and linked list takes more memory overhead because it's stored the object as well as the address of that object. And linked list, as I said, that array list provides the random access, but linked list does not provide the random access.
So in hash map, can you tell me how it works internally?
So basically, hash map implement the hash table, and hash table is mainly comprises of the array, which is the bucket, and a linked list to storing the item, which is land up to the particular bucket. So, sir, whenever we are using hash map, my hash map equals to new hash map, JVM create the 16 buckets for us to storing the item. But if you want to store more than 16 items, then it's as soon as our hash map registers 75% of the capacity, that is 12 buckets, it increases its size. Now it's become the 60 to 32. That's called the load factor. And whenever you are using hashmap.put based on the key and a value, it's calculate the hash code, and based on the hash code, it's find the index where we are going to put our entries actually. But in case of hash code, I will say suppose there are two keys have the same hash value actually. In that case, it will go into that bucket actually and check whether that keys already exist or not using the equals operator. If that keys exist, then it override the key with the new value. Otherwise, it will create the new node, and first node will be pointing to the second node. So, and whenever we are using hashmap get and give the key. Based on that, it's find the hash code, and based on the hash code, it goes into that index actually. And based on the key, it will give us the value actually. But suppose that due to hash collision, maybe some buckets have 1,000 of entries actually, so they have to traverse one by one to get the value of that particular key. So in Java, what they have done, they have converted the linked list to a tree actually. If the number of node reaches the threshold value, means if there's we have a 8 node, then it will convert the linked list to the tree. So either we can traverse to the first half and or with the second half. So this is all about the internal working of the hash maps.
So in hello.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. There is some issue. Okay, fine. So, do you know what is singleton?
Yes, sir. Singleton is basically a design pattern actually, so that we can allow to create only one instance of that class actually. So for the creating the singleton, sir, we have a private constructor actually, and sir, because the singleton can be broken using the reflection, because through the reflection we can access the private constructor, and like for the cloning also it can be broken actually, and for the deserialization it can be broken. So to handle that one, we need to, for the private, first of all we need to create the private constructor, and that here we can write throw new illegal state exception actually, and like we can give anything cannot be created objects using the reflection, and we will need to create one instant actually, like private static final singleton, and give the name of the object, and in that get instance method actually the return type is singleton, and that is the static actually. If object is not exist, then I will create it, otherwise I will return the object. And for not broken the deserializable, I will create one method like public object read resolve actually, and in that method I will return the singleton. So it's every time it will return the particular singleton only, not created the object. And that not supported the clone, because anyone can clone that object as well. So I will create one method like public object clone, and I will
Hello.
so this way I can create this. Hello.
Can you repeat about the clone? Actually, your voice break.
Yes, sir. So for the clone, actually, I will create one method, public object, and method name clone, and it will I will throw the clone on supported exception, sir, so that no one can clone that particular singleton. So this way we can create the singleton and will prevent from the broken the singletons.
Okay, so if at all two threads simultaneously trying to create the object, so what will happen there?
Sir, I will define that like get instances method should be there actually to create the singleton. I will define that method as a synchronizer. So only one thread can access it at a single time.
Okay. So coming to synchronize, like which would be the better option, like synchronizing the whole method or the particular part of the code which creates the object?
So basically, sir, synchronize is the capability to control the access of multiple threads. So basically, when we're using the synchronize method, our whole code is synchronized actually. So when we're using the synchronized block actually, so like it suppose we have a pipeline of code in any method. I want to synchronize only 3 lines of code actually. Then I can go to the synchronized blocks instead of the synchronized method. Its scope is lesser, and that increase the performance actually. So we can use the synchronized blocks if you want to synchronize only a part of that particular
Okay,
method.
got it.
Yes.
And do you have experience on threads?
Sir, not hand-on experience on a thread, sir, but I have a basic knowledge of the thread, sir.
Okay, no issues.
Yes, sir.
And can you
Then
please share
ask me, sir. I will try to give you an answer about the thread, sir. Not an issue.
not an issue. If you don't have hands-on experience, not an issue. So you are good. So can you please share your screen? I have a coding question for you.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. See, I have pinged you one input.
Okay, sir.
So can you please write a lot? You can, if you are comfortable with Eclipse, that is fine for me. Any ID, in fact, it's not mandatory that you use the notepad. So I have pinged you one. Yeah.
Camera is off, sir. I don't know how it is.
No problem. Fine.
Okay.
So this is an array.
Sir, yes, sir.
So you need to find the second highest number from this array.
Can I put in a chat as well, sir?
No, you can write the
Okay.
logic. I am able to see your
In
screen.
a notepad, I will. Yes, yes. Okay. Second highest number. Second highest number. No? Mm. Highest number. Sir.
Yeah. Yes. Can you please explain the logic?
Yes, sir. Basically, sir, I'm shorting the list because you want the second highest
Hmm.
number actually. So I'm iterating like that is for the outer loop and that is for the inner loop actually. So I'm iterating j equals to 0, means from the post index to the next element actually. If array of j, the post index is greater than, then I'm just swapping the element so that based on that I will get the shorted list actually. And after the shorting actually means I'm using the array dot length minus one. Means the array is there in array. I'm putting here the index actually. So index is like arrow dot length minus one. So in that the second highest it will be given. Sir.
Okay. In the if condition, where you are doing array of j is greater than array of j plus one,
Yes, sir.
everywhere you have used the j, right? The inner loop
Yes.
element. So why we
Yes.
have
Yes.
declared the outer loop here? The I.
Basically, sir, yeah, that is not required actually because we are iterating from the zero actually. Yeah, that is not required from the first element only. I can use the, yeah, that is not required actually.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So here you're just swapping the elements and taking the
Yes,
length
and
minus 2. So what
yes,
if there are duplicate lot of duplicates, like 11 is the highest number in the given array and there are 5 11s? Or will this work?
yes, second highest. How it's, yeah. If it's duplicates is there actually, then second highest. I will try like
Yeah, can you please give a try? How can we get
yeah,
that?
yeah. Yes, yes. Yes, I have 11, 9, 9. Highest. That is second highest. Yeah, there's a duplicate is there, then it will not give me its answer. Then um, I can put the one condition if without length minus 2. Uh, mm, second largest element. So without this one, if you do second largest, I will use like this way as well. Suppose we use this one follow, just copy this one follow. I will take the second largest here and then zero, zero. If my first element is I is greater than just then second largest. So this way also we can achieve sir and like S out the second largest. Like I am taking two things for storing the
Hmm.
second largest and the largest actually.
Yeah.
So if area of I is greater than the largest element, so what I do before putting into the largest, I will put the largest value into second largest and area of I into the largest element. If
Okay.
area of I is greater than second largest only, then only I will put in a else like second largest value equals to area of I, and I will print the second largest. I hope so this will work fine.
Okay.
I, yes, sir.
See, can you take the input one? Like, what was the input? Okay,
Okay.
you have written that 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 11, 11. Okay. So here 9 is the second
Yes,
highest number. 11, 11, 11. Three times the highest number got repeated, right?
yes,
So up to the 9, the highest would be like 9, and the second highest should be 8.
8.
Okay.
Yes,
Now you are iterating 11. First 11.
yes,
So now the highest would
yes.
be 11, and the second highest would be 9.
9.
Yeah. Now you are iterating second highest, second 11, the last but one element.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So now the
yes,
first if condition will not satisfy, right?
yes. Yes, first is not
Yeah. So
satisfied
largest
because,
is
yeah,
still 11, and second largest is 9.
9.
Yeah.
Yes,
In the else if it will come to else if. So now
yes,
ARR of I is 11.
11. Yes,
Second highest
next,
is 9.
I,
Okay. So it will satisfy this, and second largest will also become 11, right?
yeah,
So
because, yeah, area of I is now it's become a greater, yeah.
yeah. So can you fix
Area
that
of I
thing?
is,
It's a small thing only. Can you
uh,
fix it?
small thing is actually, uh,
See, you have written the right logic, but there is a small miss. Only one condition is missing.
is something. I need to match. I think so. I need to match. If it's not matching, then will be my second largest element. If it's matching, like this, I need to check what
Hmm.
I'm missing.
Yeah, no, you are on the right
Usually,
way.
yeah. Basically, when it's like if and I will put a
Hmm.
and I will put the if the first largest is not equals to second largest, then only I will no, it will not work. It will not work. Uh, do not work. Array of I, when I will get the exam and array, it will not come into that loop. Mm,
So array of I you should check with the largest. No.
yes. But so where if I put the condition in, if then it will not become for, I will not able to put the second largest actually.
No, no,
So
no. You should in that else if you write ampersand ampersand and ARR of I is not equals to largest element.
okay, here y is not equal to, then only I will come into that loop, yes. And in a second largest element, I will put the none.
Yes,
Correct?
yes. Okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
So let's move. So on Spring, do you have experience on Spring Boot or only on Spring?
Uh, Spring Boot, sir. Mostly working in a Spring Boot, sir.
Okay, fine.
Like, yes, sir.
So in Spring Boot, what is at the rate Spring Boot application will do? Annotation.
At is at Spring Boot application, it is the entry point of any application and starting point of the application actually.
Hmm.
So Spring Boot application is comprises of the three annotation, that is component scan, configuration, and enable auto configuration. So configuration is basically have the definition of the bean actually. So like we can import some additional configuration classes as well using at the rate import annotation actually. So configuration keeps the definition of the bean actually, and component scan all the beans and package when the application initialize. And enable auto configuration automatically configure our application based on the jar that we have added actually. So basically, when we are using a Spring Boot starter web, it automatically configure the Tomcat and Spring MVC for us. When we are using a Spring Boot starter data JP, it automatically configure the data source and the entity manager for us. So that is the working of the Spring Boot annotation.
Okay. So do you know like what is the difference between at the rate component and at the rate bean?
Yes, sir. Basically, sir, at the component is the class level annotation actually, and at the rate bean is the method level annotation actually. And for the at the rate component scan is there, it contains the definition of the bean actually, and like component scan will automatically scan all the bean for that particular. For the bean actually means whenever using at the rate bean actually, it's if there is no bean, we have defined the name of the bean, then the method name is considered as the bean name actually, and we're telling the Spring Boot to create the bean of this type actually. And if there's at the rate bean in our class actually, then that class should be annotated with at the rate configurations.
Okay. So in which scenario we'll use at the rate component and in which scenario we'll use at the rate bean?
Sir, both uses the bean life cycle, go through the bean life cycle only. But when we are having the conditional, sir, create the bean when class is waiting, create the bean when the class is present. Then, like for the conditional, actually, we can go with the at the rate bean actually. But when we are using the at the rate component, that the conditional is not there.
Okay, no issue. So do you know how to load profile specific application dot property files?
Yes, sir. Basically, profiles like we are creating the profile for the development, uh, like pre-production development and QA for the testing. So we need to keep the separate configuration for the each environment. So either we can use the application dot properties or YAML, that is a yet another markup language. So when we are using the application dot properties, sir, we need to keep the separate configuration for each environment actually. And in the application dot property, we need to write a string dot profile dot activate equals to true and whatever the profile you want to activate. But in a YAML, actually, we can keep all the configuration in one file only, sir. And like one configuration is like separated with another using three hyphens, sir. So that way we can create only one separate file if we are using the YAML, sir.
Oh, okay, fine. So do you have experience on creating a REST API?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
can you please share your screen and create one Git application, like Git employee or anything?
Sure, sir.
Git call. A controller,
Okay.
what you will write in method level and what you will write at class level annotations and all those things.
You want the class level only, sir,
No,
entity as well, and REST
no,
controller,
only the
correct?
controller class.
Only controller
Yeah.
class, okay. I will take like employee only. I will take. That class should be annotated with at the rate REST controller. sir.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is the difference? Like, why you have annotated with at the rate rest controller but not with at the rate controller?
Sir, for when you're using at the rate controller, sir, means like REST controller is the combination of request body and the controller actually. So it does not need to write the response body. So like if you're using the controller, then it's basically we need to annotate the at the rate response body as well. So REST controller is a combination of both actually. So instead of returning into templates, it return the result of in a body. Sir.
Okay. So, can you explain what is at the rate auto-wired?
Auto-wire is mainly used for injecting the bean actually, sir. So I'm just auto-wiring the service class so that I will use the method of that service.
Okay. So, in the employee class, what you'll use? Which annotation will you use?
In an employee class, sir.
Employee service class, the one which
Uh,
auto-wiring.
and like I will auto-wire the employee repository, sir, so that I can perform the CRUD operation in service class,
No,
sir.
no, no. I am asking in the employee service class. The class you'll annotate with what annotation?
In an employee service, at the rate service, sir.
Okay, fine.
This one, yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, what you have done? Get employee, CGR ID, service employee ID, get employee. Okay, fine. So, what would be the response code here?
200, sir.
Oh, fine. So, do you have experience on Hibernate?
Yes, sir, I have experience of an iPhone. Currently using as a JP only mostly, but I have experience of an iPhone, sir.
Oh, no, not an issue. Okay, can you write a query to find the second highest salary
Yes,
employee?
sir. Can I use the string, sir? Because can
Anything
I
you can
use it?
use. I have no issues.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Suppose I have a list
No, no, I'm asking you the query. Sorry, I was not
query.
clear.
Okay, query, no?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. A query I will use second highest query. Select. Sir,
Yeah.
this one, sir.
So what this will do? Can you explain?
So basically, yes, sir. There's an aggregate function is there, sir, max, mean, average,
Hmm.
everything. So I'm just telling that select max salary from the employee. So it will select the maximum salary, but I want the second highest. So there I will put the condition base salary, not in maximum salary. Not in means I do not want the maximum salary first one. So it will skip the first one and give the second one, sir. I will put the conditions, sir, basically. Base
Okay.
salary not in maximum salary for the employee actually. So salary, I'm not getting the maximum salary, I will get the second.
Okay, fine, fine. Okay. Yeah, that's it from my end, Ajay. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Yes, sir, means for which projects and technology you are hiring for currently, sir,
So
please.
this is a new project, like not new project. Like we are migrating into microservices architecture. There is a legacy project. So you will be
Okay.
using like in the front end. I'm not sure. Like few projects are using Angular and few projects are using React. But I'm not sure about
Okay.
in which project you will go, because there are 3 or 4 projects for which we are hiring.
Okay.
So UI, I'm not sure into which UI you'll use. Like, do you have any experience on UI technologies?
UI, sir, HTML, CSS, JavaScript projects, I have this one. Not
Okay.
used Angular, sir, but I
Okay,
will
not
learn
an
it.
issue. So coming to backend, like backend, every project is having Java. We are using Java 16. So most of the Java features we'll be using. Then we are using REST. Then we are using Azure
Okay.
and Hibernate for DB connection, and we are using MySQL here.
Okay.
So like all the latest technologies which are there in the market, we are using that. We are building the application. So like,
That's great, sir. A
okay.
Docker and a Kubernetes
Yeah,
also
sorry,
you are
I
using,
forgot to
sir?
mention. Yeah, I forgot to mention even that we are using.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. You have cleared everything, sir.
Okay, Najee. Then thanks for your time. Have a great day.
Thanks, sir. Have a great day, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye.